Hey guys, welcome back to the Growers Corner. So today I wanted to take some time to talk to you a little bit about the differences between macronutrients and micronutrients and what they are and why they're important. So first and foremost, the easiest way that I find to remember the difference is that macronutrients are things that you require a lot of, or something requires a lot of. Micronutrients are things that those things or living organisms don't require a lot of. Now, for example, when you're talking about human beings, right, some of the macronutrients that we require are protein and carbohydrates, right? You got to have a lot of those. Now, when you start talking about micronutrients in human beings, you're talking about fats, sugars, heavy metals, things like that. We still have them, right? We just have everything in different levels so that they can do their thing. Plants are no different. Every living organism consumes both macro and micronutrients. So what are we going to define when we talk about cannabis and macronutrients and micronutrients? What are the things that we need to look at? Macronutrients are, generally speaking, nitrogen, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, right? Those are things that the plants generally consume a lot of, not necessarily just in veg or flower, but in their lifespan, they consume a fair amount of these elements. Now, micronutrients are things like copper, zinc, silica, things like that they don't use a whole lot of. They do, but they don't use a whole lot of them. And everything together works best, right? So when you are setting up your nutrient regimen, when you are setting up your feeding regimen, you want to, depending on what stage you're in, be it flowering or vegetative stage, you want to tailor make your nutrient recipe, your nutrient regimen, to the stage of growth that the plant is in, but also including macro and micronutrients in the appropriate ratios for that stage of growth. When you can do that, when you provide all of the nutrients that it needs in the appropriate levels, you maintain that optimum growth. A lot of times growers know, you'll get 2-3 foot up when you're doing an outdoor situation, or even just a long-term greenhouse, not necessarily a depot, where you're doing multiple runs in a year, but letting them go for size. And you'll end up getting a lull. They slow down a little bit once they reach a certain stage, unless you continue to feed them in the appropriate ratios. Now that means they may still be going through the same amount of micro to macronutrients, but more of them, because it's a bigger plant, right? So it's just something to keep in mind. It's something to think about when you're designing your regimen, when you're designing your recipe, to make sure that you account for those nutrients and what they're, how much they're needed, when they are needed, what stage your growth you're at, so that you can maintain that optimal growth level. All right, guys, until next time, this is the Growers Corner.